Welcome back to the Undercut podcast. I know it's been about a year and a half since we posted, but we're back as you can see. My name's Aryan,
My name's Nate.
and we're recapping the Austrian Grand Prix that just happened this weekend. We saw some amazing stuff in the Grand Prix. We saw a five-way battle for one position, a massive engine failure led to fire, and then a Merc and Red Bull incident again for about the 1,000th time in my life. And
Yeah,
so
pretty much everything this race, didn't it?
literally, we saw everything we needed to see in an F1 race, and we saw a battle for the lead. We saw a surprise podium from Lewis, and so much more. Do you want to do a quick 36-second race recap?
Yeah, I'll try my best. Let me get 36
the
seconds
timer
on the
out.
clock. Yeah, there's so much to go over.
Literally, I don't know how you do it. I'm sorry, but you said yes to this. I would not have done it in 36 seconds.
Okay, I'm gonna miss something up. But I'll do my best. Okay.
You ready?
All right. 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so up front we had the battle for the lead between Charles and Max. I think we had 3 overtakes in total for the lead from Charles, and incredible fight at the end where we had almost a repeat of Silverstone a couple of years ago with I think it was a throttle failure or clutch failure, and Verstappen slowly gaining on it. I think it was 2.3 seconds at the end. Then we had, oh my word, it's already disappeared. We had signs blowing up. We had Checo getting tagged by George Russell. We had a 5-row battle for, I think it was like 7th place. Incredible race.
It was. You saw him actually get most information.
It goes so much quicker than you expect, doesn't it?
Literally 36 seconds it goes.
And then the end result being that Red Bull's still far out on the lead, but Ferrari's making some gains.
If their engine survives another season, I guess, or half season,
Ooh, that's a very good point.
That's a big deal. Who do you
think we're going to
think
see some grid penalties?
We will. We definitely will next week from Science, I think. Who was your driver of the day if you're to choose one?
Oh, I think the F1 fans got it completely right. It's got to be Mick.
It's got to be.
Yeah, fantastic. I think we're almost seeing a bit of a villain origin story from in this race. It was pretty fantastic to see the team radio between him and the houseboat wall.
The best was watching after the sprint race finished, just the look he had on his face. Like it went, I went in my head, it went straight back to Michael Schumacher and like the banner he had. Literally.
Absolutely.
It was insane. We post like a TikTok meme, memes review of the Grand Prix on our TikTok, and half the memes were just Nick becoming a villain and becoming Michael Schumacher in the end. That was all the memes that posted. That just did really well.
I think the best. Oh, I think it was for me his defense down into lap 4. No, down to turn 4 on lap 18. It was absolutely inch perfect. That was when Lewis to go around the outside, and then Lewis was thinking, "Oh, I'm just going to try the switcheroo," and position just got absolutely perfect coming out of it. He locked it down. There was no chance. That for me, I was like, "Oh."
I think he's just shown that, like, you give him time, give him good time in the car, give him some experience in the car, and he just kicks back with 2 back-to-back points. I mean, he was batting a 7-time world champion. In his second race, he scored points.
Yeah. I think I'm not entirely sure if this is correct, but wasn't it similar in F2 for him? Didn't he have a pretty bad first season, and then his first season he was like he
finished like P8, P9 in the Drivers' Championship. Next year, he just won it. Like
An
interesting thing I read was Michael Schumacher in his first race finished P9, whatever Mick finished in his first race, or P10, and then next race he finished P6. What Mick did. So I mean, the father and the son are following the exact same footsteps. So. You never know.
Here we go, mate. Here we go.
Another 7-time world champion, maybe. Who knows? Who knows?
He needs. I mean, it all depends on him getting that Ferrari seat, doesn't it?
They will. I mean, you never know. The way Haas is looking, they might compete for the world championship next year. Just the way they're looking.
Wouldn't that be something to see?
They would. It definitely was. But speaking about Ferrari, I've got a question for us. Do you think Ferrari have decided that Leclerc will be the number 1 driver from now on and their only shot to win the drivers or constructor championships?
It's such a difficult thing to come down on the side of because we had that infamous moment with Mattia Binotto pointing his finger at Charles. Oh, that was such a memorable moment. One of the best ones so far this season. I don't think they've made a decision yet.
Really?
Honestly, I think that at the end of the day, it's Charles is so far behind Carlos when it comes to engine replacements and replacement parts. That is what it's going to come down to. I've got the stats up here, actually. You know, I love me and my numbers. ICE, turbocharger, MGUH, MGUK, all 4 for Charles, 3 for Carlos at the moment, but we'll have to see what happens as a result of the fire. But exhaust 6 out of 8, so we could even start getting grip penalties for his exhausts.
Right.
Yeah, and his control electronics, he's 1 over 3. He's got a budget of 2, and then the only one where he's within his budget, or well, except for exhaust, is his energy store. I think that at the end of the day, that is what it's going to come down to. Once they have worked out who's going to be avoiding those grid penalties, that's when they can make the decision.
For me, it's sort of, I think, after Austria, you've seen that Sainz just lack that 1% pace you need to compete with at least like Verstappen. At least I think he's on par probably Checo and probably on par with like Russell and Lewis this year in the car they have. But I think he lacks that 1% you need to challenge Max. Like you saw in Silverstone, he was quicker. Charles was definitely quicker, but his strategy got messed up and the damage he had definitely got messed up. He was quicker than Max in the sprint, I think, Charles. But again, battling with Sainz cost him probably the winning the sprints probably. And for me, I think even though Sainz is so far ahead in terms of engine and replacements he has in all the components you said, right? He's 70 points behind Max Verstappen. That's like 3 race wins, right? Where Max has to DNF for him to be level pegging with them, right? Do Ferrari just say, look, I know Sainz and like Leclerc down with big gaps, probably 25, 30 points, but do Ferrari just say, look, Sainz isn't good enough this year. Carlos, you've done great. You've been a great team player this year. Let Charles take it. And I think Charles is the only chance we have to win the driver championship. Because I think Red Bull is sort of taking away with the team one. Checo is constantly doing well. He's been unlucky, but when luck turns for him, I think Checo will be the one that can finish P3 every single race.
Yeah, I can see that as well.
What would you do if you were Carlos Sainz and Mattia Binotto with the infamous waving your finger said, look, Carlos, you're the second driver now and Charles is our only chance to win a Ferrari?
I have to concede, it does feel like Charles has that something else over Carlos. Yeah. Carlos, fantastic driver, but when you get to the upper echelons of F1, especially this season, where it's so competitive, there's so many different moving parts. I think if I had to come down on the side, I'm coming down on Charles' side.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think there's nothing Sainz could say that would justify if he would have won the Austrian Grand Prix, right? Or if he didn't have his Sainz's fire and the whole engine stuff, which we'll get into after this. If he didn't have that and he won Austria with the back of Silverstone, I think he would have said, look, I'm as competitive as Charles is at the moment. It took me a while. It took me a bit longer to get used to it. But I feel for the last 3 races, I don't think he would have won in Silverstone if Charles pitted. If Ferrari pitted Charles as well. I don't think he would. I don't think he was that quick.
I agree. Yeah.
I don't think there's been a single point in the season where I can say Carlos Sainz has outdriven Charles Leclerc. I don't think a single point.
It's been strategy, hasn't it?
It has. I think it's been strategy and the engine that I think the whole reliability issue with Charles's car. I think that's been one of the main causes why he can't compete for the title currently. He's at the last 5 races before Silverstone, he wasn't on the podium. He had 2 DNFs, like 2 4th place and the 5th place, all either because of strategy or he had damage or his engine just wouldn't work.
Yeah. But the question is when does Mattia have to make this decision by? I
think it's now. I think it's a week break. Because you think about it, right? From Paul Ricard, you've got half the season left, right? Charles is already about 40 points behind Max, right? you need your number one concentration right now. I think Mattia is going to, before Portico, just go up to Science and be like, look, you've done well this year. You've done really great this year. It's taking you long to get adjusted to this new car, which is fine. Like, it's a new season for everyone. It's hard to get adjusted to. Take this year, be the second driver. If you get a chance, win. Help us in the team championship. Get back next year, be stronger and competitive. Because Charles is on a deal until probably 2028, right? He's as long as
and I'd also say that battling between Carlos and Charles in the sprint race. I mean, the whole Ferrari pit wall is going to be sweating their balls off throughout that whole thing. I feel like they're going to be thinking we have been given a miracle that nothing happened.
Yeah, they definitely have. They definitely have.
Make a decision before it happens again.
I think so. I think that just showed them, because like Charles was catching up a second per lap for the final three laps of the race. It was insane. That's when he had like free air from Charles and free air from Carlos and Max. He's catching up. And I think this is just time for Mattia to be like, look, Carlos, you've done well, but Charles is our main focus, which I think as F1 fans, we don't like to see it because there's going to be team orders in play and no one's going to actually fight on track. But it's going to be great for the championship, so I really don't mind.
The one thing I would say, to add a little bit of nuance, is I think the rules are, what is it? If you replace the same part over your allocation twice, you get 5 place grid penalty, right? It's 10 for the first time, 5 for the next one.
Yeah.
So despite being using so many more replacements than Carlos, he's taken his big penalty because he's gone one over on all of his key engine parts. He's taken that drop back towards the back of the grid. It's going to get easier from here on out.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's something that is something that we need to bear in mind as well. When we talk about reliability.
Ferrari's definitely got the outright pace. Like as this weekend, they had outright pace. Even if Charles started P5, I think he would have won the Grand Prix. He was that quick on that day. But reliability will be the big question. I think will probably decide the whole championship. And
all you had to look at was Max's interviews on the Saturday. He was visibly distracted.
He definitely.
And it's because he knew. Yeah.
He knew. I think he knew. I think the moment they knew that the tire deck would kick in and he would just be a sitting duck, basically. But I mean, looking at Science's fire, I don't think in my head I'm like that could happen to Charles any single race. That would throw away the entire championship. And I think you have more information on the Science fire, about why it happened and stuff like that.
Should we move on to that now?
Let's go on to that now. I think we've talked.
That's a great little segue. Yeah, I like that. Okay, so we'll start off with the basic facts that we know about this fire. So it happened on the steep exit road on the approach to turn 4. We saw fuel spewing out the back, and he pulls over onto this exit road on the approach, and it takes 25 seconds. Some people have had different time periods, but the general consensus is it takes 25 seconds from when he pulls over to the first marshal arriving. Now, this first marshal arrives with a chock and he places it under the front right tyre, but something happens, it doesn't get placed properly, or the car is at an angle where it rolls backwards over the chock and then comes to rest backwards at the barrier behind it. So when this happens, the first marshal starts extinguishing it with this small fire extinguisher, and 7 seconds later, another marshal arrives with another extinguisher. And then almost a minute after pulling off the road, the fire gets fully extinguished. Now, there's been a lot of criticism in the F1 community about how long it took these marshals to respond to the incident, and especially with it being such a big incident involving fire. A notable one is Scott McLaughlin, who won the most recent IndyCar race, who said, and I quote, "Crazy how long that took for people to help Carlos Sainz there. Thank you to the IndyCar safety team," which is a little shady. But let's dive into whether they did as best they could, or whether they could have done better. Now, some things I want to note is that I have very little experience with fire safety, with track marshalling. So the sources that I've found have, I think, speak for themselves. I found a Reddit thread where the marshal that actually arrived on the scene first was answering some questions, and what he said was that Carlos's car was already smoking a lot when it stopped, and he said we all think he should have gotten out immediately. I think that saying that these marshals took too long is ignoring the fact that these marshals, they act on orders from race control. They can only start once they get the order that the track is no longer active, and they can go and attend to this car. Their first port of call is Carlos's car is rolling back towards an active track. We have a virtual safety car. We do not have a red flag. So the first port of call was to stop this car. Even though he had a fire extinguisher in his hand, he had to get the chock in to make sure that there wasn't going to be a further crash. So he says that the car is called in. Everyone is prepared. Race control gives orders. People are allowed to move according to orders. We need to make sure everyone is safe, not just the drivers. Though their safety is important too. He hastens to add. Now, this would explain why there was such a time period between the response arriving and the pulling over actually happening. Some people have attributed it to the blame to race control for not calling a red flag or for calling the VSC too late. I'm not sure if that's where the blame lies either, because it took a while for the flames to start on his car after he pulled over. So at the end of the day, I guess what I'm saying is I think that everyone did as well as they could have been expected to do. The marshals performed their job safely, and they followed their procedure. There were a couple things that were overlooked, but I think that this happened as a result of so much going on. Because normally these things happen. You look at Gasly's fire several races back. His car was completely stationary. They only had the fire to attend to. This time you have a moving car that is on fire. So there's lots of different moving parts, and you also have Carlos pausing for a bit before he gets out of the car. So they have three different things that they're trying to sort out at once.
I think on top of that as well, you don't know if the marshals have a fire pursuit going into that fire, if they have a big enough fire extinguisher. And plus, they don't get the marshals as much as we respect them, and they do a lot of great work. They're unpaid. They do it for love the sport. I don't think any of them are willing to die for Carlos Sainz. And this is a very bad thing to say, but I don't think I'm willing to die for it. You can't. I think blaming the marshals, populism, or as you said, I think probably the system around it was the VSC was called out too late. Or probably a better training system in the marshals to get them know there's no handbrake on their film car, right? So we don't know actually. There's no physical way of stopping it rolling down a hill, apart from putting a rock or hoping that it just stops.
Yeah, I agree.
Better training.
And there's some other points as well. So only the chief marshal has a radio to communicate with race control.
Right.
So these orders have to be communicated through the chief marshal to the other marshals, and it was noted that the station was not as close as many people think it was to where Sainz actually pulled over, and that's another added reason for delay. Another point that someone brought up in one of the comments was that all of 2022 F1 cars are fitted with an AFFF fire suppression system for both the cockpit and the engine that could have been activated by Carlos before he got out. I mean, understandably, he had few other things on his mind at the time, but the fact that the fact that these things weren't activated, it's the chaos of 25 seconds. It may sound like a long time, but in reality, they had so many different things to do that I'm not sure it could have been done much faster. And that's my opinion on the matter.
I think plus like the marshals got to make sure that the biggest thing for them is the driver okay. They don't care about the car. They don't care about anything. Their biggest thing is the driver okay? And I guarantee Science, after possibly throwing away either a competitive win or a guaranteed P2 in that race, wasn't really answering the marshals. It was probably just like, yeah, just like move away. I'm okay. Don't worry about that. I think there's definitely the marshals. Like you can't really blame the marshals. I think you've got to blame the system or probably the training that they get, or even the race directors. Which a lot of drivers, I don't know, in this race were complaining. We saw track limits was abused. FIA was that what's the actor's name? Oh my god. The guy who was winning money in Wolf of Wall Street. Oh my god.
Well, Leo DiCaprio,
literally, is that meme of them just being fat, like literally 5 second penalty.
black and white.
Literally, it was insane. The amount of black and white flags. I think everyone got it up and down the grid. Mm-hmm. Do you think having 2 race directors has caused more issues now than having Michael Masi did a year ago?
Oh, what a good question. That's such a controversial one. Either side you come down on.
Yeah.
I think I've got to say, I think that I'm not sure if it's such a bad thing that they're handing out so many black and white flags. I mean, sure, we've had a problem for a while. How do we define the edge of the racetrack? It's an ongoing issue, of course, but I think at least with both these directors, you are seeing the exact rules as they're laid out in the rulebook enforced. Mm-hmm. I think that is the key thing. Sure, they may be enforcing them a bit stricter than we had under Masi, a lot stricter. But I don't know if I see that as a bad thing. Mm-hmm. I think that drivers will adapt, teams will adapt, tracks will adapt.
Indeed,
I think as long as we're following it to a T, I don't think having a strict enforcement is such a bad thing.
No, I definitely agree. I think they've sort of FIA is taking a new approach to sort of Formula One. I think they've gone right. The rule book was very open and sort of open-ended question. Basically, we saw last year with Albi was a very very open-ended question. Let's frame it nicely.
Will there ever be a conversation about F1 that doesn't fall back to Abu Dhabi?
I don't think so. Like I met someone a couple of weeks ago who watches Formula One and works with me, and he's like, like I started watching Abu Dhabi for the first time. And I was very confused, and I'm like, yeah, we all were. Like I've watched 5 years. And I couldn't tell you what happened. Like I physically, my body's never been in shock. I was in shock for about a solid 10 minutes, let's say. I was just like, right, Latifi crashed. Okay, Lewis has won this race, safety car. Bad way to finish the season, but I guess that's the end we have for an amazing season. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, wait, no, only 5 cars are going through. Hold on, I'm confused. And then it all went down.
Yeah,
it's insane.
I've got to say, I've got my dad interested in F1 this season. He's watched maybe 2 races with me. Had a conversation the other day. Abu Dhabi came up.
It's insane. Yeah. I can't believe, not like this is another hate to drivers. So we spoke about this in the podcast earlier. Was I hate drivers 5 for this season or like last season. It didn't. I think maybe it's because we're like proper F1 fans. We watch it weekly. We play fantasy. We do everything. Maybe it isn't built for us, but there's still a way they show the rivalry between. I think that was the biggest point. Was we've had the closest championship battle since probably Nico Rosberg and Lewis Hamilton. Right, even that wasn't close because it was decided races before. Probably the closest one since Seb's first win in 2008. Right, I think that's the closest one I would say since then. That wasn't captured by us life. It just wasn't.
I think problem is that they only spent 2 or 3 episodes on the Max Lewis battle. I think if they'd gone chronologically, it would have been a much better season.
I don't get why they don't do that. I think if they just went calendar to calendar, right? There's 22 races, right? You don't need. There's probably 4 boring races a season. There's probably 2 ones you don't really need to film. Like you just get like crop footage from it. Just film 16 episodes, right? Film the beginning, film the end. 15 episodes between something exciting happens. Do that. If, like, for example, you get a surprise podium like we did in like Austria last year with Lando, right? Film that. That's fine, but show us like. If you're trying to get more fans into F1, you just show a competitive battle, right? Showing Lance Stroll go over like finish P17 is not going to get an American fan into F1, right? You've got to show Max and Lewis battling for the win, them crashing out, them just battling out each other on track, right? That's the thing you got to be showing, I think, and that's what we see this year.
Okay. Yeah, I think the fact that Max is more involved is going to make it so much better. Okay, shall we bring ourselves back to Austria?
Let's get it back on track. Yeah, Abu Dhabi leads to so many more conversations like it always does.
Yeah. we could do a highlights this season of every time that Abu Dhabi's come up.
It's insane. It's insane. All right, let's get back to reliability and engines blowing up and stuff like that.
Okay.
We spoke about earlier. Reliability will be the decider of the championship, right? We've seen already the top 4. Okay, in my opinion, the top 4 contenders for the Drivers' Championship are, of course, Max and Charles, Checo and Sainz. We've seen all of them already DNF or have some sort of issue where they couldn't compete in qualifying or sprint, whatever it is, right? Because of their engine or because of reliability issues. We've seen Sainz's engine blow up, literally a weekend ago. We've seen Max's engine and Checo's engine and Gasly's engine blow up in a race. And we've seen so much more stuff. Is there a way that reliability... is there a way? Will reliability come down to the sole reason why either Max loses or Charles loses? Or do you think it will be based on driving and other sort of luck and other sort of features of racing?
Oh, I think reliability, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it's just a difference between 25 points and 0, isn't it? I mean, and especially first year of the new regulations. I don't remember how we were affected the last season when new regulations got introduced, but I would imagine that it was pretty reliability focused as well. When was the last year? Do you remember?
I think teams. The last couple was the turbo hybrid, probably. I think.
Yeah, start turbo hybrid.
Yeah, I think that's the latest one. But I think teams this year was because 2021 was such an intense season, and we barely had 3-month break, and you had an entire regulation change plus an engine freeze. All those combined sort of took the focus off reliability. I think teams had teams like Haas, right? As you read, they binned off last season to be competitive this year, and they have they've done really well. But they just forgot reliability. They've been lucky that the Haas engine hasn't blown up. The Ferrari engine hasn't blown up for them yet. And I think you can't blame the engine manufacturers because Mercedes and Ferrari have to cater for 3 teams each. It's not an easy job to do, cater your engine for 3 teams each. You can't really blame them. I think reliability will be something we've got to deal with this year and I think next year as well, because teams are so focused on getting the car porpoising, right? I guarantee if you look at Mercedes' focus currently, it's on purposing. It's not on engine. They won't care about the engine because the drivers are bouncing up and down and can't really see the corner.
Yeah, it's on developing the new floors, isn't it? Yeah.
Exactly. I think that's going to be their focus, not on anything else. So reliability will definitely be the main cause of the championship.
Okay, I've got a question for you. So last time we saw a maiden championship contender completely ruined by reliability, I would say is Raikkonen in 2005. The MP4 20 by the 12th race, he had 2 retirements, and then that DNS. You remember the US Grand Prix 2005 where there were 5 starters.
Yeah.
Do you think we could see another example of this? Because this is when he came second to Fernando Alonso by a few points.
I
Do
definitely
you think that we could see that?
I definitely
You think we could see
definitely
it
want to
again?
see a Kimi Räikkönen in 2005 again. I think,
Yeah.
unfortunately, it will be with either Sainz or Carlos because they've already taken what all the components have been used. I think whenever they replace any part, it probably will be a grid penalty for them, right? We've seen the midfield battle this year be insanely tough. Like the McLarens looked so strong at the start of the year, haven't upgraded, and now they're literally can't get out of Q1, right? And that's a struggle. We've seen the new Williams car, the new upgrade. Alex looked so quick this weekend. He's already quite unlucky he didn't get a point. Alonso in a really good form. The Alpines are really quick. If a Ferrari Red Bull finishes or qualifies or starts to race any place less than P6, I think they're going to struggle to get on the podium because the Mercs have got quicker, the Alpines have got quicker, the Haas's are evidently very quick for some reason.
Yeah.
The Williams is getting quicker. The Aston Martins are getting quicker. Every single race in the midfield, the Alfa Romeo is getting quicker. Apart from McLaren, everyone's getting quicker. But so that's sad for us.
Aston's slightly controversial.
Yeah, well, I think they're doing somewhat better. Latshaw was like somewhat in the fight last week. He was just in the points for a very long time. I thought he'd already pitted and was just in the points. I'm like, oh, okay, cool, that's interesting. But you just haven't pitted yet. But I think, there's a lot of, if any Ferrari Red Bull sort of finish or start the race P6, P7, P8 along those lines, I think they're going to struggle getting through the order just because of how competitive this year. And I think grid penalties will just keep on adding to Charles and Sainz because they've already used all the components they have. And I think we might potentially see another Kimi Räikkönen 05 series again.
Okay. I could see it as well. And I think if it's going to happen to anyone, it's happening to Charles. Just looking at the amount of engine replacements he's used. Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Charles is that way. But before we run out
I like your point that the top three constructors so far ahead of the midfield that as soon as you get that penalty to drop you back down into the midfield, getting back into that.
Because this year we've seen it. Like we saw a 5 sort of battle for P7, right? A 5-car battle for P7, which is absolutely insane.
It was so good.
It's insane.
They almost went 4 abreast at one point.
Literally, yeah. And Lando went through, which is insane to think about. But before we lose track of time, let's get the driver ratings done for the Austrian Grand Prix.
Let's do it.
Let's start with the DNFs first. The way we're going to do it this year is you have super softs to super hards. Super hards are your best driver of the day. Super softs being your worst driver of the day. And you go down.
It's good to be hard. You don't want to be soft.
Exactly. It's very good to be there.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's start from the DNFs. Let's go. Who's DNF? Let's go Checo. Checo DNF first. What do you think Checo was in your opinion?
Okay, so it's clear George's fault. It was a pretty ballsy move, but at the end of the day, pretty unavoidable for him. I would give him I'll give him a medium.
I agree.
Generous. Giving him a medium because I think he would have done pretty well.
Yeah. No, I think he messed up in qualifying, which messed him up for the sprint race. And I think, to be honest, he's seen the likes of Alex Albon and Lewis Hamilton go through that same corner, and there was a sort of tangle up there, and Alex lost his podium. I think Checo, probably being the smarter driver, could have realized that. But again, they're F1 drivers in their day. All right, let's go. The GOAT Latifi.
GOAT Latifi. He was retired.
I'm sorry.
He retired to save his power unit.
He was 56 seconds behind.
Oh my word! I mean, I'm trying to think of some way to save him.
It's super soft.
But it's got to happen. It's got to happen.
Super soft.
GOAT Latifi, super soft.
Indeed. Let's go. Let's go to Mr. Engine who blew up Carlos Sainz.
Oh, the fireman.
I'm a little controversial. It's super hard.
Super hard.
I think he was quicker than. I think if it wasn't for him, I think if Carlos and him weren't teammates, if Charles and him weren't teammates, Carlos would have passed Charles. because I think he was just trying to be protective and go around the corners very easily. He didn't pass them.
Hard. I'm hard for Carlos.
You're hard. Good.
Mhm.
Good.
Mhm.
Right, let's go. Mr. Sebastian Vettel.
Oh, Sebi Vettel he was so unlucky. The poor guy. The only thing he really did wrong was black and white flag, but I mean, everyone got black and white flag.
It's not his
Yeah,
fault.
from Coupon.
I'm gonna say
Poor
medium.
guy. His pace was pretty off, though.
Yeah, I'm gonna say medium.
What was he? 18th starting the sprint, or was he 18th starting the race?
Race.
Starting the
You're
race.
like 17th starting the sprint.
I think he's a softie.
He's a
Can't lie. Yeah, I'd love to do better.
I'm just gonna say you can't Gasly. Both of them for me are super softs.
Oh, Gasly for sure. How dare you?
How dare you?
How dare you do that to my boy, Seb? How dare you, mate? Yeah, no, super soft about it. Completely with you.
Exactly. Joke on you. I didn't see a lot of him, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, he was in that 5 mix, but he missed out, didn't he?
Yeah.
He held on for a while though.
He did. Medium?
At the end of the day, where you cross the line matters, though, doesn't it? I think I'll go soft for him.
Soft for him. I'll go medium, man. I think he did. He was only one place behind Bottas, or 2 places behind Bottas. He was somewhat there, but I think he was just.
I think it was 3 at the end of the race.
Oh yeah, he was
14th, wasn't he? And Bottas was 11th. Yeah, I think it's got to be soft.
It's got to be soft. I think. Yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Right to Alex Albon. What do you think? Would you think Alex Albon?
Pretty boring race from him. Not gonna lie. I remember hearing a bit before the race about how his Williams got the upgrade. Latifi's didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he finishes 12th. I mean, pretty mid for him. Mm-hmm. I mean, 12th isn't bad for the Williams. We'll give him a medium.
Medium? Yeah, I think medium. I think he was somewhat there, somewhat wasn't there. He was quick in some cases. I think I watched the race from his perspective a lot more. A bit more aggressive maybe in the strategy, a bit more aggressive in his driving. Probably would have fought for a point position, but yeah, here and there, I think.
I'm with you.
What do you think about Mr. Valtteri Bottas?
Valtteri Bottas.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he far and away beat his teammate. Where was he finishing? 11th?
11th, yeah. He just missed out on the last
11th.
On
the final lap. That was a tough one for him. Mm-hmm. Good quality for him though.
Mm-hmm. I think I would give him a hard. I think I'll go hard.
Hard. I don't know if he quite.
I think he's done well enough for the weekend where they didn't have any pace. If you think about where they were a couple weeks ago, but I think he fought really well with Alonso. He did really well. Yeah, I think he's somewhere there.
True. He did make a couple overtakes in the race, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
You know what? I could be tempted to lean towards hard.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You've convinced me.
Exactly. Mr. World Champion Fernando Alonso.
Pretty good race from Fernando.
Super hard.
Yeah, no, this was pretty strong. I'm thinking hard. I don't think he quite makes it into super hard for me.
For me, it's reason super hard is because I think he was battling P6, P7, had to pit because he had a vibration in his tires, something like that. I think if he didn't have that, he was on a one-stop strategy and would have done P6, P7. I think his pace was there, which was he got unlucky with his tires, unlucky with his sort of strategy that Alpine put him on.
And he was also he was given team orders, wasn't he?
He was, yeah. But I think that was fair. Ocon did a great weekend.
But it would explain why he was so far behind him.
It was definitely. And he started all the way back. So, I mean,
I'm reserving my super hards for the top of the top.
Right, Mr. January Avocado. Danny Rick P9 from McLaren.
It's good. It's a
I'm not
good
saying it's
result.
good enough. You can't say it's good and be out in Q1.
He missed out by a few hundreds,
But
didn't
I
he?
mean, still, you're in a McLaren. You got out like the people who were out were the two Williams, not even the one Williams, an Alfa Romeo, and the two Aston Martins. Like McLaren, like are P4 of the constructor champions. Lando, I think he was on P8 right in Q1, but he had a brake issue in Q2 that didn't allow him to go on. But at least top 12. I mean, that's what Danny's got to sort of push for. I think good race pace, decent race pace, better than at least last weekend's. It's got solid medium, I think.
Got most of his benefit in the race from the pits.
Definitely the quickest pit.
I mean, I'd be the first to say how disappointed I am that Danny Rick's down at 9th. McLaren is my team, but I'm a glass half full kind of guy. I think I'm honestly happy with 9th. This you know what? Give me points any weekend.
Exactly. Mate. Double points for us. We don't mind that, do we?
I'm looking at my notes here. He was almost 5 seconds behind Magnussen at the end of the race. Yeah, I mean, you can't give him a half of that. Yeah, I'm with you. Mid.
Yeah.
In the medium.
All right. Speaking about Magnussen, K-Mag. I'm going controversial here and saying hard.
Ooh, why are you saying that?
Well, I think even though he had that issue with his engine or whatever issue he had in the car, he's still top 8. And Mick was just on some like villain-esque era type performance this week. I think he would have been P7 if it wasn't for him being that great that weekend. Even though having the issue in the sprint, he did. Even though I feel it was he should have kept making the DRS range and all of that stuff. He was pretty quick in the sprint.
He was quicker. Yeah, he was outdriving.
On top of that, I think he was the only one that didn't really see crossing track limits that much. Like the warnings he got were a lot later than the rest of the drivers, which is pretty interesting. I think with all that combined, it's a hard for me.
Yeah, and he had a great overtake on Snowda outside of turn 4 in the race.
He did. Indeed, he did.
That was a good one to watch.
That was a good one to watch as well.
Right. Yep. I'm with you. I'm going hard.
Okay, hard. Correct. Okay, cool.
Feel like I'm just following the orange train at the moment.
Exactly. What about Mr. Chuck Norris, Lando Norris?
Okay, I'm gonna say. Can I give him a hard? I'm doing it. Slightly controversial.
Well.
I'm going hard.
I agree.
You're going hard as well.
You think he was very quick with that? He had the older engine, the older car compared to Danny. He was just quick, and in that 5-person battle, he was the back of the grid, and he just went right in the pack. Now it was absolutely insane to watch.
Main difference between Lando and Danny Rick this race was how they gained their places. They ended up only two places apart, but Danny Rick got his through the pits. Lando got his out on track, and that is why he's hard for me.
It's insane. I agree. Now we speak about Mr. Villain, Mick Schumacher.
Absolute super hard, ultra hard. It's fantastic. It's fantastic. He is on an absolute roll. I cannot wait to see more of him.
It's 2 back-to-back races where he finished in points. Like I remember Gunther speaking to someone on Sky Sports. I was like, "What's the change you've seen in Mick?" He's like, "I don't know. After Montreal, he just was much calmer about the car. Sort of went about it differently." I'm like, "Yeah, the way he's defending against Lewis in the sprint." I'm just like, "This is in." I think if he had DRS from Magnussen, he would have kept that place.
And even though he lost out to Lewis in the sprint, it took him 4 laps to get around.
4 laps. It did.
It's fantastic. Absolutely super hard.
It's insane. Lewis' biggest enemy is the Haas now. No one else but the Haas. That's insane.
And the memes that have come out of it as well.
It's insane. It's absolutely
God tier.
Literally. All right. Now, Mr. Ocon.
Esteban, great race.
It's hard for me. P5 in the Alpine when he's been level pegging with Alonso, but I think he hasn't looked that quick throughout the entire weekend. Qualifying did really well. Sprint finished off really highly. Took up the pieces. I don't think he could have done anything more than P4 or P5.
Yeah, he had a great quali and maintained it throughout the weekend.
Yeah.
Mr. Consistency this weekend. Consistency award goes to Esteban.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'd lean towards super hard as well.
Superb, yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of Mr. Consistently, George Russell. We can be really harsh and really nice to him, I think. It's one of those weekends for him. P4 in the race, top 4 quality, top 4 sprint. Did he mess up with the Checo move? That's the big question.
I've got to say hard.
I'm going medium. I'm going to be harsh.
I mean, I've got to say when I heard the team radio of him saying, he turned into me, I was like, oh
no,
get in the bin, mate.
You can't.
But it has to be said, he did have a great race apart from that.
He did. I think that mistake cost him a podium, though. I definitely think that mistake cost him a podium.
Yep.
I think it would have cost him a P2 as well because he was looking quick that weekend. I think if he were stuck around, hadn't had the problem with Checo, he would have competed.
You thought you might have got past Max.
I think Max has said insanely tired of it. I think if it wasn't for the science incident where the VSC took place and he played it for the softs again, I think he would have to pit regardless again. The tire day was insanely hard for Max. I don't think he was good enough.
Yeah. I think my reasoning for hard is when he did pit for his new front wing, came out 19th, and then managed to fight his way back up to 4th. And I've got to give him credit for that, despite what happened at the start.
That is true. I think I'll go very grained mediums, about to be hard. I'm going to go for that. Yeah. Right, let's go for Mr. Podium, Lewis Hamilton.
Okay. Oh,
great race! Another great race, man. I don't get how the Mercedes have somehow had P3 in the constructor. They've had such a bad year, and they've just stolen podiums.
Yeah, so many times.
You think about 3 weeks ago,
they should have been able to do.
Literally, 3 weeks ago, Lewis was complaining about back problems and how this could be a career-threatening injury, and he just got 3 podiums in a row. I'm just like, okay, that works, I guess.
Yeah,
pretty easy day for him.
It's good. Again, like my basis being, there was a lot of inheriting positions and getting positions through the pits. That's the only reason why I'm bringing it down to hard.
Yeah, I would agree hard as well. I think
because I would say a few people beat him out on the track there. Mick being one of them. Who would have guessed?
Indeed. Yeah,
but
I think he got lucky with. Yeah, I think he got lucky with Russell sort of having the incident with Checo having the incident with Russell. Yeah. That would have dropped him down to P6 or P5.
Exactly.
And again, getting to the Haas, as I said, was impossible during sprint. I think finishing behind the Haas when you're Lewis Hamilton in your Mercedes, it's not really acceptable, is it? But yeah, I think he fought back well in the race. Definitely hard.
And in the sprint, fantastic. I think it was a triple overtake. Yeah, it's great.
I agree.
Right, there's reasons.
His competitor, Mr. Max Verstappen.
Mr. Maxi. I think that the main problems that he had this race were not his own, and I feel like he could tell that from the start. I feel like if you got up to Max Sunday morning and asked him where are you going to finish, he would have said second.
Yeah, or P3 even.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go like very grained mediums. I'm leaning to medium and hard. I think the only reason being the tire rating was too high. I think it wasn't completely his fault, Red Bull's fault as well. I got the indication that he sort of gave up halfway through the race. Like I think after the first round of pit stops when Charles overtook him.
I think he lost focus. I'm with you.
Yeah, I think he just went like I'm not gonna get anywhere higher than P3 if it wasn't for one of them DNFing. Luckily, Carlos didn't. He got P2. I just felt that lack of energy that Max has. Even like the way Charles passed him, right? It was a great move. All three times were a great move. But it was like, right, I'm gonna be in championship mode and not really care, which is rare for Max, right? We don't see Max in championship mode at all. I think he's just like, right, if I finish P2, P3 here, I'm still ahead. I'm only trailing by about 20 when I would be trailing with about 100. Who knows?
Yeah.
I think
special thing about Max is he's held to the world championship criteria, and our standards for him are so high.
Yes. Yeah.
So with that in mind, he's normally just so on it, like the entirety of the race. He's like the smallest things he can absolutely smash out the park every single time without fail. Like, which is why this time failing to close the door for Charles, what was it, 3 times?
Yeah, 3 times.
Yeah, I mean, I'll lean towards hard because I know that I'm being pretty harsh on him.
Yeah.
But there's no way he's getting that super hard rating.
No, I don't think he was. I don't think he was quick enough from the start. I think, as you said, he woke up on Sunday being like, "I'm gonna be on the podium today, but not the top step."
And that's what he went into the race thinking.
That's what I think you were saying. I think.
Yeah.
But his competitor Charles Leclerc didn't. He absolutely smashed out the park.
Absolute super hard. This was his best performance this season.
Definitely, I agree.
Yeah.
When he said I got the oral issues, I'm just like, oh no, it's going to be another Merc double podium and Max win. It's because we're done with the season, aren't we?
That is what sets the champions apart, when something goes wrong and they can still put it out the bag.
Push through it. Like if you're looking at his like onboard clip, like if you're looking at onboard, like where they look at the break and thought he was like, I've got my F1 wheel, so I know like roughly what the he was going through in a way. He had a throttle on while his brake was on. That's like saying, right, you got to run, but you got to walk at the same time. Like,
that's like some Ayrton Senna shit.
Literally is. When he was braking, he had like a 20% throttle still on. So that means you got to turn into a corner so much more earlier, and you got to fully press the brake in. F1 brakes draw sets were so hard. Like, I remember a guy who was on YouTube, like he draws a lot of like Formula cars around the world. Drove an F1 car. He slammed the brake as hard as he could. He probably hit 25%.
I saw that video as well. Yeah,
it was insane. To think about, he probably had to go 110% on throttle just to stop the car and turn it around. And despite that, he wasn't slow. Like he was matching Max's pace to an extent.
Oh yeah, no, insane. Absolutely fantastic. If we're talking out of 10, he is a 9 virgin out of 10.
Okay, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Right. What a quality race from Charles, and I hope he can keep it up.
Hopefully, if his engine doesn't blow up again and again.
Yeah. I really want it to be decided on the track and not by reliability. I really do.
I think
I just can't see it happening.
Like we saw last year, it was somewhat decided on track. We saw like good battles with Lewis and Max. So again, we're talking about Abu Dhabi again. Look, like no matter what, we sort of lead back to Abu Dhabi at any sort of point. It's insane. I don't get this. But
it's not like a focal point for modern F1.
Literally, it should be like a counter in the podcast, like 1-2 up. It's insane.
But we should have an Abu Dhabi alarm.
We should. We definitely should.
Yeah.
But it's insane. I hope this battle gets decided on the track, and Paul Ricard should be a great race. I think we'll hopefully have one more podcast coming out before Paul Ricard discussing our predictions and some other controversial topics, like has Daniel Ricciardo done enough to deserve a seat for next year? That should be very interesting as 2 McLaren fans discuss this. And hopefully
little teaser for the for our next podcast for the predictions.
Exactly.
I'm thinking Paul Ricard is looking a little silver.
Really? I think a surprise podium. I'm going to say surprise podium. from
And we
none
will
other
get
than
back to
us.
that on the next podcast.
We will indeed. Thanks for checking us out, guys. This is the Austria GP review. We spoke about a billion different things in a race that Nate could not summarize in 36 seconds, which I do not blame him. I couldn't do it in 36 years if someone asked me to. We keep
It took
referring
me
to
20 seconds just to get through the Showmax battle, didn't it?
Exactly. Hopefully we see tons more of them and engines don't blow up like we spoke about. Check us out on Instagram, somewhere up there, YouTube somewhere up there, TikTok somewhere up there. Our TikTok's been blowing up, so make sure you follow. We probably grew about 1,000 followers over the weekend. So make sure you follow us. We'll keep posting content on there. And that's it from my end. Nate, anything to sort of send off on?
Oh, I think we'll be back again very soon, like Nico Hulkenberg at Bullring.
Exactly. Cool. Peace out, guys.
Peace.